Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Earlier today, when I was at the gym, I had a thought of exactly like what I was going to say when we started recording. It's our cold open, and I completely forgot.
Well, that in essence is your cold opening.
It would have to be, right?
This is episode 209.
It is episode
Welcome
209.
to episode 209, everybody of Pero Let Me Tell You. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How is everybody?
Well, I mean, they must be doing very well, but they're not doing better than us because we're drinking champagne while we record this.
We are. I have to tell you, so we're recording a little bit earlier than we usually record.
That's true. So something may happen at 9 o'clock. We don't know.
It's really weird to look outside and see daylight.
Right.
Because usually we...
I just hope this is not like when we recorded the COVID episode that we had to redo it because the world changed in 2 hours.
Okay, let's hope that's not the case.
Knock wood.
But we usually record really late at night.
Yes.
So when you hear us on Friday mornings, it's almost live.
Not as almost live as the Los Angeles episode.
Right,
but almost
still
live.
Pretty live.
Yeah, but close enough.
So let's
Close enough.
cheer to that. And we're drinking champagne because I'm not a drinker. We've established that in 209 episodes, but I do love me some champagne.
Yes, he had a week, and so
I had a week, and when I got to the studio, I tell Ish, you know what? I don't say this ever, but I need a drink.
I was like, I got you.
I got you.
I got you,
babe.
I got you covered.
So welcome everybody. How was everybody's week?
At the very least, it was a dry week.
Oh, you mean of rain?
Yes. It wasn't full of rain and more rain. Like
besides the monsoon we had in South Florida. I mean, but look, listen.
It's hurricane
summer is
season.
just starting, so
It's hurricane.
Monsoons will come.
Yes, and probably on my birthday.
Just as well. I really hope we don't get a monsoon on your birthday.
For purely your own selfish reasons.
Yes, actually, because
Yes.
that's
It has nothing to do with my birthday.
That's the day of the weekend concert.
Yeah, and it's at a
Hard Rock
stadium.
It's not covered.
outdoors.
It's outdoors. So I'm taking
a mi
Tristan.
cumpleaños que le falta un rayo.
Tristan has been looking forward to this for I don't know, before he was born.
That's true.
So if this gets canceled for rain, I think Tristan is going to go beat up, Mother Nature.
He may take a flight to Canada to beat up the weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
His first international flight will be an international incident.
yes. Oh no, let's not even kid around with that. I love that there's a mango right in our desk.
Well, yes, actually, and there's another one in the kitchen because it's mango season.
It's mango
It's
season.
mango season. See, I made mango juice the other day.
Yes, now it's the time that when you're working at work, when
Yes.
you're in the office, all your coworkers come with that Sedanos
That
bag.
yellow
'Cause it's
Sedanos
always
bag.
the yellow Sedanos bag, right?
Even people who don't shop in Sedanos
Have a yellow Sedanos bag
for
yes, yeah. That's so true.
for mango season.
That's so true because my parents don't shop in Sedanos, but somehow they end up with yellow Sedanos bags to give out.
Just for mango season.
Yes, I think they taste better when they're in a Sedanos bag.
Well, more authentic.
I bet you that if you put them in an Aldi bag, it's kind
not
of
the
like,
same.
"Ugh,"
It's not the same. No.
and then they get stuck to the bag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I cut a mango yesterday. Let me tell you something. I learned how to cut a mango.
Mangoes are amazing.
I learned how to cut a mango in the least messy way, and it's still messy.
Yeah. But mangoes really are amazing.
They are.
They're
They're
so
great.
delicious. Like, who doesn't like mangoes?
Communists.
Like, it's so funny because we've said this before. Like, such a big part of growing up Hispanic are mangoes and guayaba.
And avocado.
Well, but avocado, yes.
Avocado's been co-opted
But the
lately.
thing is that avocado is such a big part of Mexican, or Tex-Mex food that your typical gringo in, Ohio loves them some tableside guacamole, right?
Okay, that's true. That's fair. They go to
Right.
Chevy's.
They
Right.
probably think that the only type of avocado is a Haas avocado.
So not true.
Right. Well, I've told you that, growing up, my parents, Cubans...
Did you have una mata avocado in the backyard?
No, but Cubans eat the big avocado.
The good ones.
I don't like those. I like the Haas avocado.
You like the little ones?
I like the little ones, yeah.
Que perdida.
Really? You like the big?
Yeah.
But you can't make guacamole with the big one.
You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Have I told you my issue with avocado? Okay. I love guacamole.
Okay.
I could sit with a bowl of guacamole.
I have seen you.
And be happy.
I have seen you do that.
I love avocado in my sandwiches, in my wraps, in my bowls. Love it. Pero yo no me como un pedazo de aguacate solo por nada de la vida.
With like a little salt and oil?
Nope.
Really?
And I've tried it, and I'm like, ooh.
Really?
And it does make no sense.
Because you eat the avocado in a sandwich.
And it's not only that I eat the avocado, I love the avocado.
Right. Pero bueno, todavía que tú me dijeras, like, you only eat guacamole.
Right. And if you think of, guacamole is, really just this mashed avocado with like lime
some
juice,
onions,
cilantro, and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's an ingredient to something bigger, right? It's 95% avocado, right? And I love it, but I know un pedazo de aguacate solo no me lo como. That's really weird,
so
right?
Bizarre.
That's really, really weird.
But I would expect nothing less from you.
Right. Like when I see people having an avocado salad, which is basically like sliced avocado with like sliced onion, which I love onions.
Right.
Olive oil, which I love, con sazon. I'm like, oh no.
So you don't like the sum of its parts?
It's funny because I'm usually totally sum of its parts type person, but like how basic ingredients make something bigger.
But this is the exception to the rule.
No, that's the exception to the rule.
There always has to be an exception.
I'm feeling the champagne. I love it.
I love it. I feel like that's the only way you would say things like that.
Yeah, I'm feeling the champagne. Because as we know, I'm not a drinker, but I am a heavyweight.
Right, you're not a lightweight. Correct.
Right.
The reason that you are averse to drinking is not the drinking itself. It's because you don't get the effect most people get after 2 or 3 drinks.
No, and I remember
you have to drink like un
I
barril.
used to tell you this all the time. And when we were in New York some years back, that you were still living there, that we went to a friend of yours to a party, I was like, you lived down the street. So if there was ever a situation where I could drink and get drunk, that would have been it. So I'm like, tú era. I'm going to prove you right. And I had 10 tequila shots.
You enjoyed,
I had 10 tequila shots. I had like beer. I don't know what else. And I was like, okay, like, so what? Like,
now what?
Now what? Like, I think I was like, at the end of the night, I was like mildly buzzed. Like,
if you would have gone and had like one sandwich, you would have been sober.
Yeah, and I don't drink.
And you don't drink.
But give me 2 glasses of champagne, and it's a party.
As long as it's not burnt.
I want. We don't want burnt.
No.
Clearly, the champagne was frozen in the bottle.
This is.
I like what this. So this is
check
a scene
your
from,
Dynasty,
from
kids.
Dynasty, and she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't know about the caviar because I only have beluga."
Beluga. The champagne is burnt.
Is that a thing though?
I wouldn't know. As much as I love Diane Carroll and Joan Collins, they never invited me to their caviar champagne
we don't have
parties.
Dominique Devereaux's champagne
company.
No, we don't have her champagne
palette. That's true.
We wouldn't know frozen champagne from.
Listen, as long as you pour it in a glass and it's not frozen, I'm fine.
I will say I've had Cristal.
Have you?
I have, and
you notice?
Yeah, it's some good shit.
Okay. All right.
It's I don't know. Maybe it's psychological too. Maybe there's a bit of a placebo effect.
Right, because you're like, oh, this is Cristal. It must taste great. Right.
And then you're like, no, but it really is. It really is. You know where I had Cristal?
Where?
So when I lived in Marina Blue, remember Pucci's Pizza downstairs?
Yeah.
Right.
They had Cristal.
They had Cristal there, and I go, guess what?
Today's the day.
I just settled a big case. Today, I am buying the $300 bottle.
I'm having Cristal and pizza.
Yes, you were living in New York, so you know what? Fuck you. So
whatever. Listen, I'm still waiting on my donuts.
So I was like, you know what? I'm having. So it's funny because I didn't have Cristal in like a big. No, I bought Cristal from a New York pizza parlor in downtown.
In downtown Miami, on Biscayne Boulevard.
As one does.
That sells pizza. Yes.
Yeah, that sells pizza.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sometimes I do miss Pucci's Pizza. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes I miss living. No, sometimes no. I always live.
You always miss living.
I'm an urban person. I'm not.
You
it's the suburban. Leave that to some of our friends that love.
Yeah, you do it because you have to, not because you want to.
I love how one of our friends is like, oh, I love to see green outside and like a big backyard.
Well, I like to see green at a park.
Right, and all that. And I'm like, girl, I was living on the 48th floor overlooking Miami and looking at the bay. I was like, you could keep your big backyard.
So you're the anti esta mujer pave Joni Mitchell. You're the anti Joni Mitchell. You want to pave paradise and put up a parking lot.
I mean, look, I love a big backyard is pretty. A park is, of course, I love a good park.
You love a good park? Man, that champagne is really hitting you. Like, you haven't eaten today, have you?
Listen, I think that proper proper landscape engineering and architecture is very important.
That's true. You have a balance.
In a suburban fabric.
Right.
Or an urban fabric, I mean.
Right.
You do need a lot of green spaces. It's not only is it environmentally sound,
right,
but it just makes everything look pretty. But no. A suburban life is. I mean, I'm doing suburban life now because I really didn't have a choice. But
that's true. That's true. There were factors at play.
When you have
a child,
kids, you have to make certain compromises.
And that was one of them.
I was giving up my beautiful apartment on the 48th floor.
Yes.
But you know what? As I always say, we enjoyed that apartment.
Oh yes, we did. That's where I recovered from appendicitis.
Because we had many a parties. Let's
ching ching to yes.
We had many a parties.
Yes, you did.
And we enjoyed the multiple pools.
And we enjoyed Ultra without going.
Without going
and paying. That is another
ching.
That's another ching ching for sure.
So I actually wanted to start off, although we already did start off.
Well, actually, can I start off first?
Sure.
Because I wanted to start off with a DM we got.
Oh, yes.
From one of our...
Which I haven't read.
I know, so that's why I wanted to start it off. So it's so one of our Pero Primos on Instagram sent us this, and it's actually, I'm going to say her name because, why not? Her name is Mary Bell. She's actually one of our trivia players as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so she's gone to trivia several times.
Thank you, everybody. Mary Bell and everybody else who's joined us. We're making trivia happen.
We are making trivia happen. We're going to have to figure out what date to make it happen in July, but we'll figure it out. So her DM is, this is totally random, but I want to thank you guys. I have many things to thank you for, but one of them is to make me feel like a true Miamian. I mentioned it to Ish in a trivia night, but I came when I was almost 17. So for a long time, I didn't feel like I was a quote-unquote true Miamian. However, I so identify with everything you guys say when you guys talk about your childhood. I was born and raised in Venezuela, but would spend the summers with my Cuban abuela in Little Havana and realized I am Miami AF, actually. Sometimes as immigrants, especially now that I have been in Miami for 18 years, we could feel like, quote unquote, no somos ni de aquí ni de allá, but you guys have made me feel like I belong.
Oh,
right?
That's so awesome.
That's why
thank
I left
you,
that.
Thank you.
I left that unread because I was like, I want to say that on air because it was just like, again, we've said this many a time, in our 200th episode and before, where we do this because we started it on a whim, but we keep doing it because of y'all, and it's things like that really it does strike a chord with us.
We get. I wouldn't say we get DMs like that. We get 10 of them a week,
right?
But we do get them with some frequency and. Yes, of course, they're nice to read, but it does go to the bigger picture, as Ish said, of why we do what we do. And it's just so interesting that, when we first started the podcast, we didn't know what our voice was or where this was going to go or who was going to listen to us. But it's interesting because as time has gone by and you kind of catch a stride and your identity, at least insofar as what we talk about and our personalities, how they come across on the podcast. You see how it resonates with people, or you hear on how it resonates with people, and how, we say this a bunch of times. Sometimes you think certain things, or the way you see things is a certain way, and you think to yourself, oh, I'm the only one that thinks this, right? But then when you hear of other people, it's like,
we're not the only ones.
Oh my God, this is like a commonality we all share. So thank you so much for that DM. That was very, very sweet. And about being Miami as AF.
As long as you're not a tech bro, you're Miami.
You're AF. That's something that I feel that everybody at one point, there isn't a litmus test, right? There's a certain point or a certain situation, whatever that may be, that you're like, shit, like I'm totally Miami.
Like one day you wake up
and it's like, oh my God, this is something that would only happen in Miami, or like I'm totally this. Like, especially when you see yourself against other people.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why actually that you said tech bro. I think that's why there's such a discord now with people the tech bro people coming over here. Because if you think about it, Miami's always been a city that's based on immigration.
That's
so
very
there's
transient,
always been a mass exodus of someone
that's true,
coming in here. For, whether it was communism, socialism,
Ante los cubanos esto era un campo.
Un campo, como dice Pepe Peña,
Right,
que pasa
right.
USA. There's always been immigration coming into Miami, right? And somehow it's worked, and somehow people have fit into the fabric.
But I feel like everybody's contributed while acknowledging what was here before, kind of building upon it.
Right. And they've acknowledged that there is culture here, whatever that culture may be.
Right.
We don't have the culture of New York City, of Boston,
Chicago,
but there is culture down here, and people have contributed something to it, whatever it may be. But that's why there's such a pushback with all these tech bro comings now, which again isn't consistent with how we've treated immigration in the past.
Right.
But this is different because these are people that are coming here because they don't give a rat's ass about our culture.
Vienen a imponer.
They don't care a rat's ass about our history and our heritage.
Right. They're here because it's cheap,
where
quote
we
unquote.
come from and both what we are as a city.
And they don't care to.
And they don't care to.
Right.
They just care to come here, make big money, and live in a condo.
Right.
And jack everybody's prices up.
Yeah.
Right. And sort of take over without embracing and even acknowledging the community.
Right.
So,
I'm here now. This is what it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, those freaking tech bros, how many of them have been to Calle Ocho? How many of them have been to Sandwich?
No. I would ask them, not just Calle Ocho. I would definitely give them an avenue parameter because I guarantee most of them have been like, bro, I've been on A Street. No, sweetheart, not in Brickell.
Right.
Keep going
I wonder
west.
how many of them have been to Martha's, Martha of Miami, her store. How many of them have been to, Croquetapalooza?
Even Wynwood.
These are things that are very definitive of culture in Miami.
Right.
And they haven't.
And they don't care to.
And they have no
that's the
interest
thing.
in.
That's the thing. Because it's one thing to say, oh, shit, I haven't done that yet.
Right.
But it's another thing to be like, what? No, but I go to Ultra. Well, yeah, so does everybody else. What's your point?
Right. So, whatever. Anyway.
Moving on.
So, I wanted to actually mention something really funny that happened to Ish and I the other day.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is...
Speaking of in Miami.
This is the type of stuff that you can't make up, people.
No.
You cannot make up. So... Last Saturday, we had a pop-up for Ping Pong Pollo. So thank you to everybody who came out.
At Unseen, and thank you for Unseen Creatures. And Miami Vintage Market.
Thank you so much, Miami Vintage Market, for inviting us, and Unseen Creatures for hosting us.
And we have another pop-up for Ping Pong Pollo coming up July 2nd at J. Wakefield in Wynwood.
Yes, we're going to be back at J. Wakefield.
Yeah.
So thank you to everybody who came out and supported us. But when we were that day earlier, when we were prepping and we were getting some final ingredients, Ish and I went to Fresco y Más, formerly Winn-Dixie.
Yes.
Do you still call it Winn-Dixie?
I would, except I haven't seen a Winn-Dixie.
No, there's still Winn-Dixie.
No, I know the one on Bird and 117th is still Winn-Dixie, but I feel like all the ones that I go to or have popped into are Fresco y Más now.
The Miami Lakes does not allow Fresco y Más. It has to be Winn-Dixie.
Really?
Yeah. Probably because of the color scheme and the font, but that's a story for another day. But anyway, so we were at Fresco y Más, we were checking out. And when we're the kid who was a cashier was checking us out, scanning the stuff. Right. And I look at Ish because in the checkout lane, usually you have mints,
the impulse buy section,
chocolates, sodas, potato chips,
magazines,
que ricos merenguitos,
yes, chiviticos,
yes, right. Of course, magazines. But generally, what you don't have are Neutrogena face wipes and facial scrubs.
Right.
Usually,
the scrubs was the line.
Usually that's what you don't have.
Right.
And I go to Ishmael, ay, que extraño, look at this. They have a display of Neutrogena, whatever. Face wipes and scrubs.
Because it wasn't like handy wipes. It was specifically face. No, this was face scrubs.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said something, and then
I probably said something about Jennifer Aniston.
Right, and then I said something back. So, we started our general banter that him and I always do.
Yeah.
And the guy who was ringing us up, he must have been maybe 19, 20 years old. Yeah. He looks at us and he goes, you guys sound like you would have a podcast. And I was like, well.
Have we got news for you?
As a matter of fact, young man. We do have a podcast. Pero let me tell you, on its 5th season.
Yes, sir. 200 plus episodes.
And I just thought that was so hilarious.
But what I
That
love...
he picked up on that. And this was like a 19, 20-year-old guy, you know?
A, that he was listening.
Yes.
B, that he picked up on it. But C, what I'm going to call out is something that you and I have said many times. This show is not an act. This show is you and I having a conversation, be it at a checkout,
right,
on the phone, waiting in line to board a plane, whatever.
Right. It's just microphones.
There's just microphones involved.
And we try to make it topical.
Right.
But we would be talking about topical things anyway.
Right. This is just us.
Yes.
You know, like Mandy Moore and Milo Ventimiglia.
Yeah. This is me then.
Oh, but I don't want to ride the 6.
Yes. If there's somebody who could listen to each episode of ours and catch every single reference,
it would be.
I can only think of one listener that we know that can.
How I'm thinking
he went to when we recorded, because I don't want to blurt out his name. He went when we recorded at Dos Croquetas. He was there.
Which time?
The last time.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The only person I think that would catch most of our references.
See, because I was thinking it would be Steph from Mamas and Merlot. I agree with who you're saying, but I immediately went to Steph.
Yeah, but you know what the thing with Steph
because there's a little bit of an age difference.
Yes.
Okay, so something.
And
slipped.
Steph is really good about knowing beyond her years.
But this person's more contemporary.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
We're older millennials. She's a younger millennial.
Right.
We were born in the 70s. She was born in the 80s.
That's true.
And she's really, really good at catching everything.
Yeah, she's on it. Yeah.
She's on it. But I do think there may be a few things that just because of the,
right. It just wasn't part of her life. Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we thought it was like hilarious that here we were having this banter. Like, why do they have Neutrogena wipes in like the checkout of Fresco of all places?
Of all places,
right?
Yeah. It's not even like Whole Foods,
right? That would make more sense at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Fresco y más. Es que chico, you know what happens cuando tú fríes los chicharrones? You need a face wipe to take down all that lard from your face.
Don't go that far. When we do the pim pam pollo, we could probably use some of those.
When we do a pim pam pollo, I need to jump into a pool of antibacterial soap and degreaser.
That sounds so drying.
And degreaser. Porque we come out of there as grease balls.
We do.
We do. Between the grease we absorb in the cooking and serving the pim pam pollo, and then the grease,
sweat,
the cleaning of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah. Sudor.
Yes. Oil, sweat, and chicken. Welcome to Pim Pam Pollo.
That sounds like the worst perfume ever.
So I wanted to talk about something that
all right,
I heard. So this is a little bit of a turn. Because obviously we've talked about this, many times in a very serious way about racism in the Hispanic and Latin community and colorism.
Yes.
And how it really is a real thing. Right.
And
it, not only is it a real thing, it's like a really big problem. Right.
Because we don't think about it. And
so the other day I'm going to be very vague as to where I was. I was at a store in Hialeah. And
Estaba en un gogo.
No. And that is as
generic as you're going to go.
Yes, I was at a store in Hialeah.
Okay, got it.
And there was the cash register, the security guard, and then there was otro viejo that you could tell he just goes there to talk.
Okay, he's retired. He has nothing to do.
Hablar con ella and whatever. And this lady walks in with a white dog.
Okay.
And
Latina lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hialeah.
Listen, you're the one who's told me that there's a lot of white people there.
It's Hialeah, yes. There are there's more white people than you can think in Hialeah, but still.
Okay.
The odds of encountering a white person is,
Don't play those odds.
Right. Okay. So, mind you, the cash register lady was tremenda Afro-Latina. Like, she couldn't be more Afro-Latina.
Okay.
And imagine Afro-Cuban, right?
Right. Because Hialeah.
And this girl walks in with her dog. Okay. And the dog is a white dog.
Okay.
And the security guard is like, Señora, me da pena, pero no podemos dejar perro entrar aquí.
Okay.
And she's like, ay, pero es que si no lo tengo que dejar en el carro, whatever. Y hay mucho calor. And he's like, bueno, mira, voy a dejarte entrarlo hoy, pero por favor, make sure that he doesn't pee or poop inside the thing. Pero para que sepas en el futuro. She's like, ay, thank you so much. So she goes in. Okay. And then the three of them, the security guard,
the register,
the cashier, and the retired person who's just there for laughs.
The guy who already left la ventanita.
We're like, sí, tú dejaste el perro entrar porque era un perro blanco. And then the other guy was like, sí, yo no hubiera dejado entrarle el perro si era de color. And I'm like, and they were all laughing.
Including the Afro-Latina.
The Afro-Latina lady. And I'm like, for the love of God. I was there with...
And I'm not taking away from what you were saying, but in all fairness, that could have been a situation like, sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, where like sometimes, people will say like, no, because the black, whatever, and I'll be like, why has it got to be black? You know what I mean? It could have been, and again, these are people who know each other.
But the comment to this is, because, I was able to see this twofold, right? I'm able to appreciate it as a Latin person and a Cuban person that I know how we talk.
Right. And these are people who know each other.
Right. So I'm able to appreciate it from that aspect, but I also appreciate it from
the U.S.
U.S. perspective and from a more like sensible perspective and a more proper perspective that's not the right thing to do, right? And the reason I bring this up is because those are examples of, and again, this was a joke, and I'm sure the guy didn't mean, he just meant it as a joke.
Right. Again, between three friends.
But these are the things that are embedded in culture that are flat out racist. Because I realize, again, this was a joke.
Right. And that's very important to call out.
Joke.
Yeah.
Right. But these are the type of commentaries that are racist. Because that's what they are. But they're so embedded and they're so ingrained in the culture that it's like garden variety. It's like, oh yeah, you're taking a shot at, I wouldn't let him in if it was a black dog, right? Which obviously is a commentary to a black person, right? And the black person there was like,
But do you think it was said tongue in cheek?
It is, and again,
right. I mean,
I'm not even saying that the guy
he shouldn't have said it.
Is like this, horrible
Nazi,
racist person, right? What I'm saying is that these are the type of things that we say
without even thinking.
Well, I don't say them, but people say
the royal we.
People say that they don't even put any thought in it.
Because it's embedded in the culture.
It's so embedded in the culture. It's so like second nature to say things like that. Like what do they say about like ethnic hair in Spanish? Oh, ese pelo malo. Like, have you ever really stopped to think about that?
Pero oye, we've all heard people say like, bueno, allá tú porque yo no sé peinar pasa.
Right.
They say shit like that. Like, yeah.
Have you ever really stopped to think about? Because I do.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Like, I really check myself on those type of things. I'm like. Yes, that's something that everybody says. Esta tiene pelo malo. Esta tiene pelo bueno.
Right. Well, Chris Rock made a whole damn documentary about it.
Right. But again, but in Latin culture,
right.
It's like, have you really stopped to think about what that means? Like, you're saying that ethnic hair is bad.
Right. The inference is right.
And again, it's so embedded in our culture that
we don't think about it, quote unquote.
Not only do we not think about it, it's accepted, it's expected. We don't question it. And people whom it is a direct insult to are in on it. Right? Because again, this woman couldn't be blacker. Like, she couldn't be, like, she was like Afro-Latina, like poster girl for Afro-Latina. And she thought it was hilarious. Right? And I'm here thinking like I did like a total social experiment on this while I was there. I was like, wow, look at the dynamic of this, right? That she's totally in on this. And she thinks it's hilarious because she, as a black woman, a Latin black person, a Latin Cuban black person, this is so part of everything that you don't question it. It's like, so I was kind of like, wow. So when you hear, because what happens nowadays when you have more enlightened voices make these type of comments, people are like, oh, because you're the party pooper. Oh, because you take offense to everything. And it's not even a taking offense to it. It's a like, okay, Have you really stopped and thought about what you're saying?
But I think what you're saying is two different things. Is like, let's analyze it, but at the same time, it's something that you and I have said many times before, where it's like, you can't go in and criticize a joke amongst friends because you don't know their relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I may say something to you that an outsider may hear and be like, that's inappropriate, right? So you have to your point of like, oh, you're a party pooper. It's like, no, you have to consider both sides. I understand. You understand that these are friends who are joking amongst themselves. And you know what? That's their relationship.
Right.
I am no one to come in and question and tell this cashier, like, do you understand what he's saying? Which I think is you even said this, is like, there's a difference between a teaching moment and castigating, right?
Right.
You're nobody to go in and tell someone, a black person, a Latin person, an Asian person, how they need to feel about something. Especially if you're not that person. But as a Latin person in that situation, you do need to engage your brain and kind of say like, bro, that's fucked up.
It is, but that's why I tell you that.
And you can be two sides of the same coin.
In this particular case, and there's millions of cases like this on a daily basis. It's less of a judgment on the individual and more a judgment on the culture.
Okay, and that's the perfect way of saying it.
Right. It's not that I think that, oh my God, look at him, this racist, bigoted person. I just think that that man said that because that is what is said. Right. And he's somebody older. So
right. See, so yeah, that's a whole.
He's not as young, where maybe a younger.
He grew up
person,
a certain way, right.
Usually is a little bit more. Will take on thought-provoking, things and out-of-the-box things as so far as your culture. It wasn't like, oh my God, look at these racist people and all that. It's more of an accountability issue with the culture, that this is so normalized that it is part of your culture. And again, when you hear people say that are more involved on the issue, say like, hey, maybe that's not the way we should be saying things, or hey, maybe this is not the way that you should refer to my hair, and hey, maybe this is not the
this
best.
is why this bothers me.
Right. You can't dismiss that person, because you're attacking that person, even if you don't have the intention to, even if you don't mean to, and your heart's not into attacking them or insulting them, but you are.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, I think the best reaction would be like, oh shit, I didn't mean it that way, I'm so sorry. Like, just acknowledge their feelings, but also...
I mean, can you imagine if that would have happened in, like, California? They would have been calling the manager, like...
There would be protests right now.
Right. But in Hialeah, it's like, welcome.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Absolutely. Isn't it great how we use Tuesday as, like, the random day of the week because it has no other personality?
Is it?
Think about it. Whenever we say like, oh, that's just a day of the week, we tend to go with Tuesday because Monday has, it's Monday. Wednesday, woohoo, midweek. Thursday, almost Friday. Friday's Friday. Saturday and Sunday are the weekend. But Tuesday is nothing, so people take it as a random day.
Do you know? This is going to date me. When I think of Thursdays, you know what I always think of?
Cosby Show?
Must See TV.
Oh, so
well, Must Be TV evolves.
Oh, okay. Right. Correct.
That's what I just think of, because Thursday is always like the best day of TV.
It used to be.
Well, back when TV was
TV,
right. But TV, like Thursday, was such a good day for television. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We know things can feel overwhelming, from jobs to family to relationships, even finances. And despite the stigma from Hispanic families about airing our dirty laundry, we can all use someone to talk to during those moments of stress. Well, we're here to remind you that there's no shame in admitting that you need to speak with someone to work towards improving mental well-being. That's where BetterHelp comes in to, help. A customized online therapy provider, they offer therapy options on your time, whether it's via phone, video, text, or even live chat sessions with a therapist. BetterHelp's customized approach matches you with a therapist in under 48 hours, based on what you're experiencing, to help you better understand yourself. And as a special offer for Pero Let Me Tell You listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/pero. It's already more affordable than in-person therapy, and now you can save on your first month. Everyone deserves to be happy, and BetterHelp has helped millions take their first step on that path. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pero. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast episode.
Stupid streaming.
Yeah, they ruined everything.
It did. But you know what? Speaking of streaming, see, look how I transitioned. So I still haven't seen it, but last weekend, the new Father of the Bride reboot.
So I was talking
premiered.
to somebody earlier this week, and I was telling him, Ish and I are going to see it by Thursday, so we could talk about it on the show.
And did you?
I didn't.
I didn't have a chance. But I will say, it broke records.
Good.
It broke records. I'm reading this from Deadline. Father's Day weekend was the ideal launch pad for Warner Brothers' Andy Garcia, Gloria Estefan romantic comedy Father of the Bride, which wound up being the biggest HBO Max movie premiere ever in its 4 days, specifically for a title that was exclusively made for the streaming service. Father of the Bride was the number one title.
It wasn't in theaters at all?
At all. Father of the Bride was the number one title across HBO Max around the world in its first 4 days since it launched on Thursday, June 16th. The film also ranked among the top 10 most watched title launches on HBO Max to date in Mexico based on its first 4 days.
Nice.
So I read that and I love it, right? Because automatically I'm like, okay, great. You know, the Latinos are here. And again, Cuban Americans in Miami. You know, I'm going to be a little biased. What I've been hearing from people who have seen it is how unabashedly Miami it is.
It is such a failure that we have not seen.
I know.
It's like, no tenemos, like...
No tenemos cara. Like,
No.
Yeah. How unabashedly, again, it features like freaking Vicky's Bakery.
Yeah, and
Like,
I've heard that it makes Miami look like it's beautifully shot. Like,
I mean, they gave Gloria Estefan Señora de Coral Gables highlights.
it's so funny because she does look like una señora.
But Señora de Coral Gables, which is what
Yes.
they are in the movie,
Yes.
right? Like she specifically looks like somebody who lives like, you know, in that part of the Gables where all the houses are.
Was the movie shot? Well, I mean, obviously some outside scenes were
The
shot here.
studio portions were shot in Atlanta. I believe, I could be wrong, there is a studio that is actually owned by two Cuban American brothers, and I can't remember their names right now. They used to work with Tyler Perry, and then when he moved out of his studio into the bigger one, they bought his studio out.
Into Tyler Perry land.
Yes.
Have you seen the size of Tyler Perry's
It's a
studio?
freaking city.
Yeah.
Like, it should have tax deductions. It probably does. But they filmed stuff here at the Biltmore. They filmed, I believe, the church scenes here. So they did do a lot of on location shoots. Yeah.
I wonder if I wonder the reasoning why that movie did so well. Like, I wonder if it was
Father's Day weekend, number one.
Father's Day weekend. It's also you could sort of say that Father of the Bride at this point is a franchise.
I mean, as many versions as there
There's
is. 3,
right?
So this is the second remake. Because
the original's the Elizabeth Taylor
with
one.
Spencer Tracy. Then they remade it with Steve Martin.
Right.
There was a part 2 to that one.
Okay.
And then they remade it again now with Andy and Gloria.
So there's
Andy and Gloria, like I hang out with them.
There's four.
Right. So actually, it's like a franchise at this point, yeah.
So I'm sure there's a built-in audience with that. Then I'm sure there's like the Cuban factor, the Miami factor,
there's the Latino factor,
the Latino factor. You know, and it's also it was very
well.
smart.
His family, the
he's Mexican.
Is
right?
Mexican. So yeah, you have a.
So that was also you know
Right.
because you could spin it with both Cubans and Mexicans.
Right.
It's so funny because when I see the ads, I'm like, oh look, it's Luis Miguel.
Oh, I forget his name. I know his first name is Diego.
Yeah, he plays Luis Miguel in the series.
Yeah. Y the girl who plays their daughter is la hija de, I think, Ricardo Arjona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of pedigree in this movie.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. Again, total failure
on our part.
that we haven't seen it.
You know what?
We should have been on it.
If today was one of those days that we recorded later, we would have watched it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Total failure on our part. Man, we messed up that one. No, like, that makes me really happy. I mean, look, our godmother is in the show, right?
It's true.
I mean, Gloria Estefan really is a godmother to every Cuban American. I mean,
whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, she just is.
She just is. Deal with it.
She just feels like family.
She does.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's Gloria. Gloria and Andy.
Yeah. I mean, again, she gave me Mike and Ike's.
Yeah. I mean, we bumped into her a few times.
I keep telling you.
We went to our block party.
Well, you did.
Well, okay, I did.
You did, yes.
I did.
Yeah, you went to her block party, but she gave me movie theater candy.
Yes, and we've also, been invited by her son to his drive-in.
Right. Like, that's the thing is, like, at this point, like I've told you, we're circling the Estefan drain.
Yes.
So you know what? Cross your fingers, kids. It's only a matter of time.
Listen, we got Gina Torres on the show, and I thought that was never going to happen.
So Gloria's next. Let's get Gloria and Andy.
Yes.
At the same time. Screw it.
Well, if it would have been at the same time, it would have been now.
That's true.
Because we would have had to do one of those press junkets.
Oh, the junket. Yes.
Like this lady.
You know who I'm thinking of.
Guerra de la Galaxia going, Ewan McGregor. What's her name?
I can't remember her name.
The lady with the curls.
And I don't want to remember her name because I don't want us to say her name on the show. But
say my name.
But I know who it is. Speaking of
the song of the summer. Ugh. Okay,
it's okay.
Okay, okay. We're not gonna talk about Beyonce's new song.
Oh no, we are.
You won't break my soul.
It's okay.
You won't break my soul. I have a.
What do you think? I'm gonna defer to you. Beyonce released this week, "Break My Soul." Okay. I'm gonna defer to you.
I just want to say I'm not part of the Beehive.
Right.
Okay. To me, Beyonce is not a god. But I do like Beyonce, and I have to tell you. And you could back me up on this. I was one of the first people that
you were into Beyonce like before.
I was in No Part 1.
Yes.
Not Part 2 that became a hit. In Part 1. When it came out, I loved it.
Yes. You were into Beyonce in the prequel.
Who is that?
Right.
And when that song came out, I remember we're talking about No Part 1 with Destiny's Child.
Yes.
At that point in time, Beyonce was like 16. Right. And I was like 18. And I remember thinking like, oh, she's under 18.
Right, she's a kid, yeah.
Right, but she looked so much older.
Right.
She looked so much older. So I've always liked Beyonce. I think she's great. I think she's one of the best performers of our time. Do I think that Beyonce is like the greatest thing that has ever existed in
since sliced humanity?
Bread? No, because like a lot of these people talk about Beyonce like literally she's God. Right. So it's funny because this new song, "Break My Soul," I do like the song.
It's okay,
but I have mixed feelings about it, but for very me reasons. So
okay, well, usually it's me reasons. So here's
the thing: Beyonce, especially with the release of her album in 2015, the self-titled album Beyonce, the one that she released
Lemonade?
with no promotion.
That's
the one that had a Drunken Love.
Oh, okay, Drunken Love.
And all that. Yes. Then came Lemonade. That was like a turning point for Beyonce in terms of her sound.
Correct.
Right? That's when she stopped being poppy and
a little more introspective.
Beyonce. Yeah, it was like a much darker sound, more grittier.
More grown up.
It was definitely an evolution. Right? And then came Lemonade, and then came the Carter's album, and then came the Black is King album.
Right, that was the Lion King
one. Then came all that, which is like very concept driven based, like especially the Black is King one. It's very much of a concept album. And again, a much darker sound.
I don't know about darker, but mature.
No, it's darker because she has songs that are very like introspective and like that they don't make you feel good, right? And the Lemonade album, I know you roll your eyes, but the Lemonade album, we all know that it's about the infidelity of
it's about her marriage,
her marriage and a miscarriage and all that, and it gets very heavy. It gets very, very heavy, and obviously it talks about culture and black culture and all that. So it's a very heavy album. So there was a part of me that was kind of like, I kind of miss old fun Beyonce.
Right. I want her to be happy again.
I kind of miss crazy and love Beyonce, jumping Beyonce.
Right.
I kind of miss that. But I kind of appreciate that she also didn't stay there and she evolved.
Right.
So now with this new song, I feel both things. On the one hand, I'm kind of like, I love that she's kind of doing a summer song based on You Got to Show Me Love.
Robin S. Yep. She's sampling Show Me Love.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that she did it's not like this.
It's unapologetic dance.
Right, and it's not like this huge cultural statement. It's just a fun summer song.
Yeah, she's not trying to recreate the wheel.
We're back to fun Beyonce. But then on the other hand, I'm kind of like, but I wanted the continuation of the evolution.
In all fairness, we don't know what the rest of the album's going to be like.
Right, no. I mean, just obviously it's just on the single.
Right.
But yes, in a way, so in that aspect I was happy. But in the other aspect, I'm like, right, but I kind of wanted like the post Lion King kind of evolution.
Like what was next?
Like, I'm now 40, so
so
whatever. But I like the song. Is it the best song I've ever heard in my life? No.
The song is okay. If they play it at a club, I'm totally gonna dance. You know what I mean? Because it's a bop.
I was actually more surprised at Drake's album.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Drake released a dance album.
Yeah.
Who saw that coming?
Aubrey,
listen.
Aubrey wants to dance.
Aubrey wants to go back to Degrassi and dance.
Well, if he goes back to Degrassi, he's not going to dance.
He went to dances at Degrassi.
Oh,
Listen, just because you're don't be ableist.
You're right. I caught myself there.
Don't be ableist. Just because you're in a wheelchair, you can still jam. At the very least, you can Vogue.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you heard his album?
I have heard like 1 or 2 songs only.
I love Champagne Poppy, so you know.
I've told you I like Drake, but my issue sometimes is I feel like his voice is a little too nasal for me.
My thing with Drake is I love Drake because obviously it's a genre of music that I love. I can't take Drake for an hour.
You have to break it up.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I love
that's me.
I love
that's
when
me.
Drake comes out on Shuffle. Shuffle Drake is
that's the t-shirt, kids.
It's like,
I love it when Drake comes out on Shuffle.
This is my jam, like type thing. But when I've already listened to, like, I'm on the 4th Drake song, I'm kind of like, I'm ready for the next. I'm ready for. The
I
next
like
thing.
him, but his voice is just very.
And the thing about Drake is that I like Drake.
I like Drake as Drake. Like I like Aubrey. I like
his
Aubrey.
music, and I like him as like a person.
Right.
I like his public persona.
Right.
But again, I love Shuffle Drake. You know why? Because you know why Shuffle Drake is good?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because then you're listening to something and it's kind of like, oh, this song is whatever. But then Drake comes on
and he just like bumps it
like,
up.
Boom!
Yeah,
we're good. We're good.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's back to be. I'm telling you, that's the T-shirt. Shuffle Drake is great. And it's just a picture of him doing like a little shuffle, like George Jefferson.
What the guy in Fresco would say now by hearing this
yes,
answer.
he'd be. I hope he's listening. We told him the name of the show. Maybe he's a subscriber now. But it's funny you said Beyonce because all I could think when you said she's doing dance, all I could think of was like because she turned 40 and she's in that phase of her career where it's like older diva does dance album.
What is that you say that older diva videos are not about her anymore? She's not in the love.
They're not. They're not. All of the once you hit a certain age, I'm gonna go with 40 to 45 because it depends on when you released your album. Mm-hmm. If you're an older diva, your videos are not about you.
Right.
Your videos are about the younger people at the club or having a romance, and you show up as like the guardian angel singing, or the diva at the club singing, or the guide.
I wouldn't laugh if I didn't think that was funny. That's true because it is true.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
Because the other day when you were at my place, randomly, I don't even know because I don't listen to Cher
at all.
I don't know how Cher came up on my shuffle, on my YouTube shuffle.
And there was Believe.
That Believe came out, and you were like, "Do you notice that it's about the young people?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, you're right." I just always focused her being trapped in a box.
Right? She was the original Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. She was trapped in a box in that video before Tilda Swinton was trapped in a box.
Tilda saw that and said, I must be in a Cher box.
The only Cher... There's 2 Cher songs that I think are fun.
Strong Enough?
Yes. How did you know?
Because I've known you for how many years?
That song is really good.
It is phenomenal.
And I like the Gypsy Tramps and Thieves.
That's a great song.
That's a good song.
That's a great song.
And and then I
wonder if she has to re-record it as Romani Tramps and Thieves.
Oh. And I kind of like... That's not true. There's another Cher song that I like that nobody knows.
Dove l'amore?
No. One by One.
I love that song.
Yeah, but that's not.
No, that's the one where on the single she's with the snake and the apple.
Right, but that song.
No, nobody. That was before
that's
Believe.
That's an R&B song.
That was before Believe. Nobody.
That's like
attention.
A pure R&B song. Yeah. Nobody knows that song. It's not a dance song. That I remember when that song came out.
I beg to differ. The remix is.
I don't listen to the Thunderpuss remix. You know that.
The fact that you say Thunderpuss, like if it's something like
funny.
It's Thunderpuss.
I know that one of the biggest like house gay anthems is Deborah Cox. How did?
Well, yes, nobody's supposed to be here. Yes,
here?
As you look at my signed Deborah Cox bodyguard poster.
Yes. Whereas I loved that song
as a ballad.
Because it's R&B, and I liked Deborah Cox as an R&B artist. Right. So when that single came, that remix came out, I was like, oh.
Listen.
I was like, here we go.
Listen, we are in the midst of Pride season, and she is to Pride what Mariah is to Christmas.
You know what I think is so funny?
Okay,
Deborah
and she
Cox,
acknowledges
who
it,
is
she
this
embraces
great voice, R&B voice.
Oh, yeah, she's got Whitney caliber pipes.
Right, she sang them to church.
Yeah.
Like she found, and it was totally by accident.
Oh,
by
of
the
course,
way.
yeah.
Because they did that remix.
She fell into it, yeah.
They'll do a remix of any other song.
Right.
And that one just happened to catch on within the gay community, you know? That it became such a thing. Like, that was totally by accident.
By the way, she's coming in concert in October. But I have a little problem with how she's coming in concert.
Why is she
So it's at the Hard Rock, right? I love Deborah Cox.
Yeah, but it's our bud.
But she's coming as part of the Freestyle for All concert with a bunch of freestyle artists, and she's not freestyle. So it's Deborah Cox, Taylor Dane,
One of these things
George
is,
Lamond.
One of these things is not like the other.
I'm like, I mean, I'll go. Like, because I like everybody, but
the thing is that
pero
even
no pinta
again,
nada.
non-remixed Deborah Cox.
But even remixed Deborah Cox isn't freestyle.
Well, that's right. Right, because you could do like an R&B concert tour of different R&B
Mira,
artists.
her SWV next. Right.
Tamia.
Tamia, yeah.
All of them.
Right.
And she would fit. You could do like a house music.
Right.
Like,
her, Cece Peniston,
like,
Alternate.
like Pride, you know,
Right,
thing. And
right.
she'll
She
make,
fit.
but not freestyle.
No. I was like, I don't know how I feel about
maybe
this.
they're gonna mesh one of her songs with "Take Me."
She's there. Cynthia's gonna be there.
Little Susie.
Oh, that's Little Susie. Sorry, damn it.
Don't you let me. That's such a good song. You know what's really funny about that song? That song came out in 1993.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
you're
the song's
right.
not from the 80s.
It's not from the 80s, but it's freestyle.
But it's freestyle,
which we enjoy.
And Little Susie's like our age. When that song came out, she was like 12.
So by now she's Susanna.
Like Deborah Gibson.
Deborah Gibson.
Did Debbie Gibson ever really think that people were going to start calling her Deborah?
I don't know. I think that was a moment in her life where she's like, let's try something.
You're right.
This is a press release.
Right. Deborah Cox in a freestyle concert?
No.
Like,
with that said, do you want to go?
you know who I really want to see in concert?
Taylor Dane again?
Well, we already saw her. People are going to be like, what? I really want to see Mandy Moore in concert.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's an established.
Right. But see, here's the thing. I don't care for Candy Mandy Moore. I care for, like...
The rhyme was great there, by the way.
Candy Mandy Moore. I care for, like, Joni Mitchell, you know, folk Mandy Moore.
Okay, folk or
well, it's Mandy Moore folk. I mean,
okay.
We're not, like...
But see, I'd be upset if she didn't at least do it, like, the second, like, 17 album.
No, in her new tour,
because that's not folk.
Her new tour, she does do Candy.
I mean, that's fair.
She does do I Wanna Be With You.
Okay,
and she does Only Hope, which Only Hope is a good song.
That is a great song. But she doesn't do Saturate Me.
I don't think so. But
why bother going?
But the thing is that, do you remember when Mandy Moore came out? I didn't like her.
Well, yeah, because you said que ella tenía cara de mala.
And Candy,
yeah.
Like, she had this attitude.
It's like, you're 13. What attitude do you have?
I didn't like her at all.
Yeah.
But then she came out with Coverage, her third album, which were remakes. But they were all remakes of, like, songs from the 70s
no,
and 60s.
Yeah, like Carole King.
And she did that song, Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters.
Oh, that's a great song.
And I was like, wow.
Is that Elton John?
That's Elton John. Yeah. I was like, wow, se la comió.
Yeah.
And she did... she did several songs there. Have a little faith in
That was the
me.
lead single.
And I was like, oh man, I love Mandy Moore.
She found her voice.
And then, in all honesty, obviously, the first time I heard her and she did something that I liked was Only Hope on A Walk to Remember.
True.
So, I mean, but then again, you have to be...
made of stone. You
have to be a bot, an avatar, to not watch that movie. You don't cry watching that movie?
I still don't I kind of still don't forgive you for that movie.
My father.
But how do you not? How do you not?
My father's like, La muchachita se muere. I'm like, yes, it's a Nicholas Sparks.
Somebody dies.
Nicholas
Nicholas Sparks just kills someone by the end.
I don't know what it was about A Walk to Remember. How did we end up talking about A Walk to Remember?
3 glasses of champagne. That's how.
Grown-ass men and A Walk to Remember. Did I say 2 or 3?
2 grown-ass men.
Okay.
Yes.
Because look, I watched the what's the movie? The jumping movie.
The jumping movie.
The movie with Regina George.
The The Notebook?
The Notebook. I watched The Notebook and I was like, gag me with a freaking spoon.
Really?
No.
I've never seen it.
No, and I love
Her, right.
What's her name?
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. And I think he's a good actor, whatever. But I love Rachel McAdams.
Right.
And I saw The Notebook and I was like, oh my God, this is so cheesy. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I did.
It didn't hit you?
No, I was like, it's so cheesy. I'm like, they're probably going to die together. And I was like, they did.
But did it not hit you because you were going into it already expecting?
I don't know, because, I also don't do melodrama.
Right, but I mean, Walk to Remember is
but
melodrama.
The thing about Walk to Remember is that I didn't know walking into Walk to Remember. And I even remember where I saw it. I saw it at the Lincoln Road Theater.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you saw it in public?
Yes.
Oh, you cried that much in public?
No, but I saw it because I think we were going to watch something else, and that was sold out. We're like, oh, let's just watch that Mandy Moore movie.
Okay, so it was a consolation
So it
prize.
wasn't even like, I didn't go see it because of Mandy Moore. We were going to watch something else and whatever.
Da la casualidad.
And I remember I didn't know the Nicholas Sparks of it all.
So you walked in cold.
I walked in cold.
Okay,
And I was like, wait, what? So when she said, I don't need a reason to be mad at God, I was like, oh my God, she died.
I'm telling you, I remember seeing that movie.
And then at the end, when he's like, because Jamie's heart is like the wind. I can't see it, but I can feel it. I'm like, oh my God, just kill me right now.
Just méteme cuchillo.
Kill me. And then I learned of the Nicholas Sparks.
Okay. Right.
I totally fell into that trap.
Yeah,
so that's maybe when I saw The Notebook.
You went in.
I was like, I'm, Nicholas Sparks. I'm not falling for it this time.
Yeah, you caught me once.
I'm not catching those shenanigans of yours. What else has he done?
I mean, he writes a lot of those types of books, but Miley did a movie that was based on Nicholas Sparks. Zac Efron did one. Amanda Seyfried did one. I think that's one where Miley met the Hemsworth.
I look at you, that one.
Sure.
When the
sure. I have no idea.
That's when that with Greg Kinnear.
Yes. Okay. With Greg. Wow. The fact that you had to pull Greg Kinnear for me to be like yes, it says a lot about me.
That's when I. You know that song?
No.
Oh.
That's early Miley.
No, that's mid Miley. That was post Hannah Montana.
Yeah, but I consider anything before Bangers early Miley.
Okay.
Just because, that was like, listen, I'm here. She stuck her tongue out and we were here for it.
I love Miley Cyrus. Do you remember when I felt dirty for liking Miley Cyrus?
You did. You did.
So dirty.
What I love? I love to hear Jose talk about Miley Cyrus.
Why? Because he loves her too.
Well, because when he worked for Disney, he actually met her and her mother a couple times.
He met, what's her name, Trisha?
Yeah, Trish, while she was Hannah Montana. So did
he meet her as Hannah or Miley?
Oh, that's a good question. I never thought to ask. I never asked that.
I mean, have you ever stopped to think about that Miley's wigs should be in the Smithsonian? Did I say a lie?
Not even a little bit.
I mean, first of all, it's one of the most famous Disney Channel shows.
That's true.
A famous franchise that launched the career of a pop.
Yeah, that's true. No,
superstar.
You're right.
That wig deserves to be.
That wig does deserve to be in some type of museum. I don't know if the Smithsonian, but some museum.
I remember the very first time I saw Hannah Montana. The very first time I saw Hannah Montana was in the show. It was like one of those little concert commercial things.
Okay, yeah. Because they don't do commercials on Disney, right. So right.
And I was like, what tacky ass shit is that?
Because she was always in gold lame.
No, because I was like, who is that? I didn't know.
No, she was always in gold lame.
I didn't know.
The context.
There was a singer named Hannah Montana.
Oh, you thought
I didn't
that
know
was...
I didn't know. It was the first time I saw her.
That's true.
I didn't know. Well, it's not like a lot of people knew who Miley Cyrus was before.
That's
right?
true. But maybe you had heard of the show.
I hadn't heard of the show because I was at the very beginning of the show.
Okay.
I hadn't heard of the show. I didn't know I just thought it was a singer named Hannah Montana.
That they were showing the concert.
And I was like, get fucking tacky. Like, I don't like this shit. Like, what is this?
Little did you know.
Yeah.
Little
would have thought
you know
that a girl like me will double as a superstar.
Do you think she's still friends with Leslie?
I don't know.
I thought of that the other day.
You know who's not doing well nowadays? It's Mitchell
Musso?
Yeah. Didn't he get caught in some...
I think it was a drunk driving, a DUI thing.
Was it a DUI? Well, DUI for a Disney star.
No,
is
the
like
one that está mal es el hermano from That's So Raven. Kyle Massey.
Okay, so.
He got caught, like, DMing with an underage girl.
Okay, well, let's move right along.
Yes, that's bad. Yes,
we're not going to talk about
that was
rape on Beto.
That was bad.
We'll talk about some heavy shit here, but
we're going to call that. That's the line.
We're not going down that road.
No. So yes.
So yeah. Wow, this took a turn.
This did take a turn. This is what happens when we have a bottle of champagne between us. If I had 6 beers here, he'd be fine. A bottle of champagne, he's a little, fun.
You know what song I love?
What?
Now we're talking about R&B. I really like what you've done to me. I can't really explain it. I am so into you by Tamia.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
right. You probably know.
There's probably a remix
in my house.
Well, of course, that is her biggest single.
I love the other one.
Okay, but that is her biggest single.
Is so good, Into You, that there's 2 versions of that song. There's Into You and there's So Into You. So Into You is the one by her in 1998, and then in 2003, Fabulous did
So Into
You, which samples that, which is not a sample, it's a duet, really.
So he just basically had her come back.
Right. So he just does the verses and rap, but then she does the bridge and the chorus, right? But it's the same, with the same melody, same music. So there's Into You and So Into You.
That's wonderful.
It's a great song.
This is the learn portion.
That's the type of song that, even though I'm not big on her discography, I will go see her in concert just for that song.
For 2 songs.
Yeah. Well, no, for one, because I like the original more than the remake.
Well, no, but she probably would do the original. Right. Like, unless she's on a freestyle
There's
ticket.
a stranger in the remix.
Stranger in Mouse, yeah.
Again, I like the original. That's the difference between you and me. You like the remix, I like the original.
Yeah, if I can't stand on a platform and take my shirt off, I don't want to hear it.
What songs do I like? Oh, no, there's a lot of songs I like the remix to more. Mira, I like Ain't It Funny?
Yeah, but no. Let's clarify. When you say that you like the remix more of certain songs, it's the hip-hop remix, whereas I like the dance remix.
No, you could keep the dance remix.
I will. I will keep my dance remix.
The only dance remix that I really, really like, and it's Mariah, it's the Dream Lover House remix.
Oh,
whoa,
yeah.
The Honey one.
Oh,
no,
Honey.
Okay, I take that back.
The Honey remix is phenomenal.
Okay, for those of you who have not listened, the song Honey by Mariah Carey, it has a remix called the Classic Remix.
That's the
it is
Morales remix.
11 minutes of pure bliss.
It's just great.
I feel it.
I may put it on afterwards.
I feel it for like 5 minutes.
She says I feel it more than Sporty starts talking at the end of Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah. And I also like from her, in terms of Mariah, of remixes, dance remix,
Yeah.
I like Dream Lover.
I like the Anytime You Need a Friend dance remix because it
that's
samples
CNC Music Factory.
Yeah, because it samples this other song, like not samples. She sings another song, and I love it.
But yes, I usually tend to like the
hip hop remix.
Yes, but that's the difference between you and I. I go for the hip hop remix. You go for the Thundercat. I mean,
the Thundercat. I love when Lion-O raps.
Okay, we're gonna have to go eat something after
We
this.
are gonna have to
I'm
go
not
eat something.
For television.
No,
you're not.
That's why we're a podcast. That's why we are on the air.
Oh boy, this has been fun.
Well, on that note,
we've had 3 glasses. We had the whole bottle.
We had the whole bottle. That's what I said.
Although, for those of us who have been
did you even
to us,
eat before you got here?
No.
There you go.
For those of us who have been listening to us since the very beginning,
right.
Nothing will compare to our 21st episode.
This is nothing like it.
Where we drank 2 bottles of
Havana Club.
Havana Club rum.
Yes.
And we were...
Eso estaba interesante.
We were having some fun.
Yes. So this is nowhere near that. But you know what? It's getting close.
We're still composed.
We're still composed. So,
that's something I only say when I lose my...
When you lose your composure?
When I get drunk. Because
I don't want to lose my composure.
Because whoever knows me personally... knows that I'm very composed.
You pride yourself on it.
I comport myself in a proper way. I'm always the one who keeps his shirt on, whereas you are like, whoa!
No, I cannot say that.
Where you're like, whoa!
Listen, we established that I like the dance remix, okay?
Where I'm always like, I keep it together. I'm always presentable.
Yes.
And you're like,
nope,
living the best version
I'm
of
like,
yourself.
Too much clothing.
So whenever I've gotten drunk, my whole shit
is
always like, I'm losing my composure. Darian doesn't lose his composure. What does I say? The composure went out the window.
The composure just went out the window.
And I don't lose my composure. That's not
you
me.
do not. You
That's
do
not
not
me. That's you.
That is me.
That's you. That's your brand.
That is my
That's not mine. I'm the one who has to keep shit together and call 911.
Oh, no. Okay, for the record, he's never had to call 911 for me.
No. I've really never... Okay, go on.
No, but you've never had to call 911 because I've lost my composure.
Not for you, but go ahead.
Well, I'm sure you've had to call at some point in your life. But I was actually going to bring it down because, we've been drinking and we should go eat, but I think it's time for last sodas.
Do you know what just made me sad?
What?
We're recording in Coral Gables today, and usually after recording, we'll go to Eating House.
Oh, it's closed. We can go to Caja Caliente.
No, I love Caja Caliente, but
Eating House is coming back. It just hasn't reopened yet.
For those of you who had the experience of going to Eating House, their truffled carbonara.
Yeah, it's an experience.
That's all I have to say. Go ahead with your last soda.
Yes, it's an experience. But again, they are opening on Giralda in a couple months.
Right, but that's not within walking. Well, it is, I guess. But
we can take the trolley. The trolley runs later now.
Yes.
So, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
Well, I catch my composure.
You can catch your composure. So, my last soda, as you know, on this show, we are two Cuban Americans. But today, I'm going to give it to somebody who's not Cuban, despite his name. I'm going to give it to Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban does some pretty awesome stuff.
Mark Cuban's pretty fucking cool.
And there's part of me that kind of wants to hate Mark Cuban because he's freaking like a billionaire.
But I'm going to give you a reason to not hate him.
Right.
Even more of a reason not to not hate him.
No, I know the good stuff he does.
So he recently started a company called Cost Plus. And it is a pharmaceutical company. I'm just going to go ahead and read this. He recently started, it's an online pharmacy where over 100 life-saving medications are offered at a low cost, standard 15% markup. But that's in an industry where pharmaceuticals usually have a markup of about 100%. So to give you an example, a leukemia drug on his site is $47. Mm-hmm. Normally, the retail price of that same drug or comparable is about $9,600. So $9,600. He offers it for $47. And, the reason I bring this up is because in this day and age where you hear about so many, multi-billionaires and gajillionaires who are just like, I'm going to go to space. I've got all the money in the world. He's at least doing something positive with his money, and he's putting it back into, the general public. And, as we know, many times healthcare doesn't cover certain things, or you think it's going to cover and it covers up to this point, but then you get denied. And, you're in a situation, you're in a situation where, you're struggling to figure out the answers while you're going through the experience. And the fact that this guy, has taken his ability and his wealth.
And he doesn't have to do it.
He doesn't have to do it to say, you know what, fuck that. Like, let's do something good for people. You know what, dude? You got my last soda. And it's not just because you're an honorary Cuban based on your last name.
And the thing about it is that I've known about that for some time.
I just found out about it.
The pharmaceuticals. And the thing about it is, the question he gets asked all the time is like, why don't you run for office? Right. And his answer is always like, I could do more.
Yeah, more good. Yeah.
As a private citizen than in office. And he's right.
He's not wrong.
Because imagine passing that.
Right. Once you become in office, you have to go through all the red tape.
Right. So, yeah, he doesn't have to do that, and he is. So good for him.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give him, again, this day and age, you hear all about all these people like, I've got to be the first one in space. This guy's like, go to space. I'm going to do something for people here.
Do something
on this planet.
I don't need to. This isn't a big.
It's not contest. A pissing contest. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, my last soda, I was very thoughtful on who I gave my last soda this week for. So obviously we know June is Pride Month. June is coming to a close.
Yes.
So I kind of wanted to give my last soda to, I think, one of the most significant people who, well, thanks to him, we sort of live the life we all live today, and that's Alan Turing.
Oh, yes.
Do you know the story of Alan Turing?
Yes.
So, for those of you who don't know the story of Alan Turing, this is the learn part of the show, and I think this is really something that everybody should know, because so many times we hear of like, well, Black History and Hispanic Heritage Month or Pride Month, and we learn of these people that did certain things for their communities, and all that's great and dandy, but a lot of these stories are people that just did amazing things for humanity in general,
Right.
right? That these are aspects of history that we should know. So if you don't know who Alan Turing is, so Alan Turing was he was a computer scientist, and the modern day computer and encryption and coding of what eventually came the modern day computer was started by Alan Turing, and specifically in World War II, Alan Turing, he helped the British government pioneer the technology to decrypt Nazi Germany's communications during World War II, because Nazi Germany would communicate with like different
codes,
code, and he which was the Enigma machine, that was totally him, and he used that to decode the Nazis,
the messages.
And they think that the war would have lasted several more years if it wasn't for that, and that was totally him. And in a just tragic sort of
turn of events,
course of events, the very government that he helped, which was the British government in the 40s, was the same government that just a few years later in 1952 imprisoned him and found him guilty pretty much for being gay.
I mean, at the end of the day,
And you know what they did to him?
They chemically castrated
him.
They
chemically castrated him because at that time in the UK, being gay was it was criminal.
Clearly.
It was a criminal act. And they chemically castrated him.
This man without which the war would not have been won.
Right. I think most of the world has a debt to him. And not only that, again, the advancements that he did for computer science. And they chemically castrated him, and he eventually committed suicide.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different myths around his suicide. He died of cyanide poisoning, and there's sort of like an urban legend that the way he took cyanide poisoning was that he dipped an apple in cyanide, and cyanide,
How Snow White?
No, but cyanide, when apparently something is exposed to cyanide, especially as a liquid, it has, when the light hits it, a sort of colorful or rainbowish,
like when light hits
reflection,
oil,
right? And they say, it's urban legend, we don't know, that because he was the father of the modern day computer, where Apple,
that's why Apple's Apple.
I'll say Bill Gates.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs was inspired by Alan Turing and named it Apple. The icon is Apple. And if people remember, the early apples were in color.
Yeah.
The apple had a color gradient.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Right? They say, obviously there's no proof of that.
Right.
But they say. But the point is, and why I bring him up in, especially now the close of Pride Month, because again, this was a person who contributed so much to humanity as a whole. We're still living in a world that was largely shaped by his advancements and his findings, and he was practically tortured and was forced to live a life that clearly led to his suicide. Right? And that's why things like Pride Month and acknowledging people like him is so important, because what's that meme that goes around every now and then? Memes hit it right, that Pride Month is not I forgot the exact language, but it's not a whole thing to say, oh, we're here and we're partying, but no, it's a month to acknowledge that we have a right to exist. I forgot the exact
terminology. It's be thankful you don't need one.
You don't need one, because we need one to show
that it's okay,
that we exist, right? I butchered the terminology, but again, it's important to acknowledge how these people in history, did such contributions, and look how he was treated.
There was a movie about his life, Imitation Game.
Yes,
with Benedict Cumberbatch.
But anybody who's a computer tech or a computer geek, Turing is like,
you owe everything to Turing.
Yes, like Turing is a big name. So just wanted to give a last soda and acknowledge that, because I think that's something that maybe our listeners can appreciate.
And I can see how that would have slipped through the cracks.
Right, yes, because
as someone that they know.
He's not a gay icon, you know? Like,
he's not a Marsha P. Johnson.
He's not, yes. I mean...
He's not a Harvey Milk.
No.
He's not, right.
But it's more of like a post-acknowledgement of somebody who was gay and was trying to live his life, did all these wonderful things, and look how he was treated.
The British government did posthumously...
They did pardon him. And it's a great deal of shame. And, you know, I always say, people, when you hear of these horrible things happening, this was in the 1950s.
Not that long ago.
Like our parents
50 some odd years.
Alive. You know, like this wasn't, 200 years ago. Right? This was in modern times. So, So, well, on that...
as we get ready to go eat.
Yes. This was a fun episode. I like this episode. Yes. I was very, coming in, I was really stressed. But now, 3-4 glasses of champagne later?
A bottle later, yes.
We are good. So, everybody, we hope you listen, laughed, and learned. I will not be driving after this episode. We hope you listen, laughed, and learned. As always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta. I guess you could say your glass of champagne.
Yeah, but not if you're driving.
Not if you're driving. So stick to the cafecito.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us this week. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Pero Friday, have a great one, everybody.
Take care, kids.
Bye.
Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lamleplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.